you how to make bread. This is the 4 ingredients you need for bread. You need bread flour, you need salt, dry active yeast, and you need water. That's it. And for tools, what you're going to need is a scale. If you don't have a scale, you can just measure it out in a measuring cup, but a scale is better because flour can pack down and its weight changes. But if you use a scale, it's going to be the same every time. And you need a bowl, and you need some measuring spoons, and you need saran wrap. That's it. Okay, so I have the simplest recipe for bread there is, and I got it from this book called My Bread. And we'll get started. So the first thing to do is you want to put your bowl onto the scale, and you want to turn it on. And you want to wait till it reads 0, 0. So that's called tearing it out, meaning make it 0 with the bowl on it. Next thing you want to do is the ingredients call for 400 grams of flour. So you don't even need to mix it and make a mess. All you got to do is you got to take it out of the plastic. This is kind of where a little bit of mess comes in. Open. Okay, try that again. So we're going to get 400 grams. Just shake it out. There we go. It's about 410. Just take a little, keep making it so it's 406. What do you got? 403, 402, 400. Perfect. Okay, that's it. You don't need the scale anymore. Take it off, put it aside. All right, next thing you want to do is you want to add the water. Well, you can add a couple of different things. Let's add the yeast. And it's amazing. So you add the tiniest little spoonful of yeast. It's a 1/4 teaspoon, and this is amazing. So you take a 1/4 teaspoon of this stuff, and you get bread. It's amazing. So it looks like little tiny like discs in there, little tiny spheres, and that's dry yeast. And when you put it in, when it gets in touch with water, it creates protein actually from the bread. And then I have to add some salt, 1 1/4 tablespoons, 1 1/4 teaspoon, sorry. This is 1 teaspoon. And then I usually just using the same thing, just kind of eyeball it, 1/4, that's about 1/4, that's good enough. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is you want to just stir up the ingredients, your dry ingredients, and kind of just make sure they're all like kind of all over the place. Just stir it all in so they aren't pooled up. There we go. And then you want to put 1 1/2 cup of water. And it's got to be cool water. The temperature you need to have is 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I didn't measure it, I just let it run in the tap because it's pretty cold this time of year. But if it's not cold, if you have warm water, you can put an ice cube in it until it reaches about 55 to 65. So start it off easy, and then you want to stir it in gradually. Just get the water. You want to make sure all the flour is moist, and it happens pretty quickly. So just want to throw all that water right in there, stir it around. And then later on, I'm gonna get my hands in there to get it all stirred up. But for now, this is the first steps. And that's the 1 cup. And then I'm gonna do the second 1/2 cup, let the water run. Like I said, it's pretty cold this time of year. And you wanna measure it, the right way to measure it is to put it on something flat and look at it at eye level. Stir it around. and you'll notice it's getting very kind of goopy. That's okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. So flip it over, make sure all the flour is been moistened. And like I said, now I'm gonna get my hands right in there. I'm gonna wash them first. And this is where it gets fun. Okay, you're gonna get your hands right in there. You're gonna flip over the dough. And you're gonna feel it. It's very goopy, and it's just gotta kind of get all the dough into, make sure it's all kind of worked in. Get a lot of dry spots, so you gotta keep flipping it over until the areas that are dry in the bowl aren't dry anymore. And there's a tool you can use. This is a handy tool if you have it. You don't need it, but it's a scraper, so it scrapes all the dough and flour from the edges, and then you can use it to flip it over. It's pretty handy. Okay, that's all you need. That's it. That's the whole 9 yards. So, I'm gonna wash my hands again. Dry the hands, and then this is where we put our saran wrap. Make it nice and tight across the top. Stretch it a little bit because you want it to be sealed. The idea here is the yeast is going to start activating pretty quickly. And then you want to keep the yeast and all of the gases that the yeast creates in the bowl. That's it. And then you've got to, in order for the bread to work, it's got to leave in place for an entire day, 24 hours. Well, it's 18 to 24 hours depending on what the temperature is. So what I do is I just stick the bowl right over the heating grate and let it stay there for an entire day. So it'll be about morning time tomorrow, and then we'll pick it up from there. Welcome back. So it's been about 24 hours since we last left off, and we're gonna walk over here and I'm gonna pick up the dough. And I'm gonna bring it over here and show you what this should look like. Take off the wrap, and let's take a nice look at what that looks like. What that should look like is it should first of all smell like yeast, and it has to have lots and lots. It should have risen about twice the volume that you first started off with. And again, you can use your hands for this step. I choose to use this just because it's just easy. Now this mixture is gonna be very stringy and very gooey. So the first thing you wanna do is you wanna flour the surface. So I've already cleaned this very nicely. And you're gonna take your bread dough, your bread flour again, and you're gonna have to coat this whole surface like a thin layer all over the place. So just sprinkle it out, spread it all over, and then get your hands all full of flour as well, because it will stick like crazy to your hands. All right, now we're gonna start. I'm gonna gently use this tool to peel the dough away from the bowl. And it's gonna, like you'll see, it's gonna wanna stick. So it's got like very long strings to it. Kind of just, pick it up a little bit. And then I just kind of roll it out. Just ease it out, roll it on out. Now what the purpose of this is gonna be is to get the air bubbles out of it so that it has a chance to re-rise on the second. It's called a second rise. So what this is the first rise dough. And again, I'm going to use this. It's very wet, so don't freak out. It's going to be wet. It's going to be sticky, gooey. That's okay. That's what it's supposed to be. You don't have to do a lot of work here. All you want to do is kind of just pat it down, kind of like get those air bubbles out. Make sure your surface, you can keep applying a little bit of dough, a little bit of flour rather, if it gets sticky again. You kind of want to take the stickiness out a little bit. So you're going to just flop it around, just work it out. Just a few flops and folds, and you're all good. No, it's not, you shouldn't stress about this. Just a little bit of work. Try to get those air bubbles out. Again, reflour that surface. Get your hands all nice into it. And really not much going on. It's very easy, easy stuff. Okay, that's about it. That's all you need. All right, put that aside for a minute. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our baking sheet. Get the thickest gauge baking sheet you can find. And you'll probably warp it even when it's in the ovens. Don't worry about it because the temperature of this bread has to be at 475, which is pretty hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some oil. Now I use grapeseed oil, but you can use Pam, you can use whatever you want. Grapeseed oil is got a little bit higher smoke, what they call smoke temperature. So I'm just going to kind of put a little bit dab in there, and I'll put some, use one of these just to spread it around. Okay, and then what we're going to do, again, we're just kind of get it ready, and we're going to kind of pull it out before we put it in the pan. Once you get it in the pan, you kind of don't want to mess with it anymore. So you want to pull it out and just kind of plop it down. That's about it. That's the story right there. And now, next step is to use something called a tea towel. This is not a tea towel, this is just a napkin, but it's very tightly woven. And so what you want to do is, because this stuff, everything will stick like glue to it, so put a little bit of extra flour on the top of it, just so things are not going to, just so your towel isn't going to stick like it. And I actually coat the surface of the towel with a little bit of flour too, because like I said, it will stick. Then I just cover it up like this, kind of fold it underneath, and then I go back and I'm going to put this back on the grate for about an hour, the heating grate, and just let it sit and come back to it in about an hour, and that'll be ready to pop in the oven. So we'll catch up to you in about an hour. We are back, and I'm taking the dough off of the warming area, and good, it didn't stick too much. That's good. So this is sort of what it should look like, kind of just spread out a little bit higher, and if you poke it, it's supposed to kind of poke back at you. Good enough. Okay, so oven is got to be preheated, 475. Want to make sure it's at that temperature. And the key here is when you put it in, you got to watch it. I'm going to let it go for about 25 minutes. I'm going to go cook time here. 25. But I'm really going to check it because sometimes it gets done too much on the top or the bottom, so you have to flip it around. But we'll start with the middle rack, and then we'll go from there. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go check to see if it's ready. I'm gonna take it out. And the test is to see, we're gonna thud on it. And I think it needs a couple more minutes. It doesn't have that really hollow sound yet. So I'm gonna stick it in for another 2 or 3 more minutes. Okay, we're going to try one more time. It's been in for about 5 more minutes. and it's getting a lot darker in color. If you notice, the top of this is getting darker in color, which is really what you want to see. So I'm going to give it a tap test here. Not bad. So we're going to let that rest, and we'll dive in a little bit. Okay, the bread's out, and I just wanted to, it's cooled down. It's took about 10 minutes to cool down, and the bottom side is quite good. Sometimes it gets a little chocolate, not quite burned, but you want to, if you can, avoid it, but that's a nice color. And then you want to have what they call chestnut color on the top. So here's the unveiling. Let's see what we got. So you want to take a bread knife and start at the end, and it should be crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. And that's it. Bon appetit.